we're also following breaking news out of Oshawa this morning. General Motors announcing that it's cutting the third shift at its Oshawa plant. So for more on what this means for workers, we're joined live by CP24's Courtney Heels. Good morning, Courtney.
Good morning, Jennifer. And this news so devastating for the community of Oshawa. I mean, this is a major employer in this city, and many of these employees have been on edge ever since March. That's when U.S. President Donald Trump announced the 25% tariff on Canadian-made vehicles that would be crossing back into the U.S. I've been here outside of the Oshawa GM plant for the last couple of weeks talking to people. They were nervous. They could see layoffs, and it looks like that is the case. According to General Motors, they're confirming they're canceling the third shift here. I'm hearing from sources that means about 1,000 jobs will be affected. These layoffs happening in the fall. Now, GM saying as part of a statement on their website that they're making the move in light of forecasted demand and evolving trade environment. We're getting a lot of reaction to this news, including a statement from Unifor, that's the union representing employees here, and Lana Payne, that's the president, sharing part of a statement. It says, "We will not allow GM to barter Canadian jobs to gain Donald Trump's favor. Cutting the third shift at Oshawa's assembly is a reckless decision that deals a direct blow to our members and threatens to ripple through the entire auto parts supplier network. GM needs to reverse this short-sighted move before more damage is done." Now I'll share with you what GM has to say about this announcement. I've heard it was actually made quite early this morning through a video announcement for employees who are here. The statement through GM that was posted on their website reads in part, "These changes will help support a sustainable manufacturing footprint as GM reorients the Oshawa plant to build more trucks in Canada for Canadian customers. GM Canada's record sales have enabled us to invest $2.6 billion locally since 2020 in new programs, including upgrades at Oshawa for next-generation gas-powered trucks. GM has been building vehicles in Canada since 1918, and we're implementing a plan to keep building here for Canadian for another 100-plus years." So you hear there that GM still saying that they're going to continue to make investments and hold jobs here in Oshawa in Canada, but the union certainly questioning that. And for these employees, again, this is just such upsetting news. I want to bring in Oshawa's Mayor Dan Carter to talk more about this breaking news and how it will affect his community. Good morning, Mayor. When did you hear about this?
Good morning. I was informed, of course, earlier this morning in regards to this transition, and we're trying to absorb all the information and try and get as much information as we possibly can. But our understanding is they're going to transition back to 2 full shifts. The third shift, my understanding, will be impacted. That, what we understand, is about 700 positions at our Oshawa plant. But our thoughts always are with those that are affected by this decision, and we want to find out more details as the day kind of unfolds.
Certainly. I mean, this news just broke a couple of hours ago. And as I mentioned, I'm hearing that these workers just found out literally around 6 o'clock in the morning. So I'm sure they're still digesting it. It's really tough for these workers and their families. Sir, can you speak to the impact on the community? We know it's all connected here.
So, the auto industry, auto manufacturing, and of course the transportation industry has played an important part in our community for over 100 years. And, General Motors is a big part of our historical, story. And so, yes, it has a major impact in regards to this particular announcement. Again, we want to make sure we support those that are being impacted by it. Manufacturing now in 2025 makes up about 3% of our total economy. We've been able to diversify our economy. We have new international companies that are moving into Oshawa, and that helps absorb some of the job losses that are happening. But first and foremost, we're thinking about those individuals that have dedicated themselves in regards to producing the heavy-duty and light-duty trucks. A world-class plant, by the way, great productivity, flexibility in regards to it. So we look at this particular moment, knowing what we know and knowing the record of those that work there, that we do have a pathway forward. We just got to work with all parties to be able to make sure that the future continues to build forward, not build backwards. And I think I have a lot of confidence with Unifor and General Motors to be able to address that. We went through this in 2018. Everybody worked together to be able to make sure that those that were impacted were certainly made sure that they were helped to transition into other environments. But we've got to make sure that we do everything we possibly can to be able to address the challenges that are in front of us, especially right now with some of the impacts the United States is having on the Canadian economy.
So in terms of support for the employees who just received this devastating notice, what do you think would help them right now? We know the province is going to be working on a plan. I believe the provincial budget's coming in a couple of weeks. Federally, we expect some announcements now that they're kind of sorting things out with their new government. What do you think would help?
Well, I think that one is we've got to work with Unifor to be able to find out exactly how we can support those individuals that are being impacted by this decision. But General Motors and Unifor has demonstrated in the past that they've put a plan together in regards to the transition for those individuals that have been impacted. And this goes back to 2018-19 when the major announcement happened that they were going to close the plant altogether because of downward in the market. There was a plan there to be able to help people transition, not only about retraining, but also transition them into new positions. So I'm waiting to hear that, but I have a lot of confidence that the two parties have demonstrated in the past that they can work together and they can find a way of being able to help those individuals that are being impacted. And I have all the faith in the world there. I'm optimistic about our local economy, but I am not lost in regards to the impact it has on those that have been affected by this announcement today. And we'll still hopefully have about 2,500 people that will be on the two shifts at General Motors. And I'm optimistic that this is, once again, a story, part of the storyline that our great city faces. We continue to be challenged on a regular basis. We continue to fight back, and we continue to be successful. And I have all the confidence the world will be able to overcome this also.
Mm-hmm. How would you describe the communication with GM? Do you often hear from the auto manufacturer when a significant announcement like this is made? Are they quick to communicate with you and your team?
I've had a great relationship with General Motors for many years. In my previous profession, I was able to work with people like David Patterson and Scott Bell and Travis Hess, some of the presidents here. So I have a good relationship with General Motors. I have a great relationship with Unifor and Jeff Gray, that is the local president at Local 222. So we do have an open line of communications. So I'm glad that we're able to continue to have conversations. Those conversations will continue on this morning, of course, and make sure that we get the latest in regards to what's the next step and what role do we play as a city to be able to support those that have been affected directly and indirectly, and how do we help this transitional period, but what does the future look like and how do we be a part of that? So I'm really pleased about our relationship with General Motors and Unifor. They've been good partners with the city of Oshawa, and I have a lot of confidence that even in the most difficult periods of time, we have a good, strong relationship, and I'm confident that we'll work together to be able to find a solution moving forward.
Okay, well, that's encouraging to hear. And of course, Mayor Carter, we'll continue to stay in touch with you as we follow this developing story and find out what will be next in all of this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and have a good day. And thanks for thinking about those that have been impacted by today's announcements.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Thank you. And on that, I mean, you just heard this from the mayor. Employees here at this Oshawa plant have been through a lot over the years, closures, layoffs, and the fact that they have been on edge for quite some time, waiting to see what the threat of U.S. tariffs would mean for their jobs. Now, on that, I want to say we're getting a lot of reaction, given this just broke a little while ago, Jen, but now we're hearing from Premier Doug Ford. He just took to social media. I want to share part of what he's saying about the announcement of the cancellation of the third shift. It says, this is just part of his statement, but today's news from GM is extremely tough for the workers in Oshawa and their families. These are hardworking people who have helped build on Ontario's auto industry. GM has reaffirmed its commitment to the Oshawa plant. We just heard that from, of course, the mayor and even in their statement, which will continue building Ontario-made trucks for years to come. We'll continue doing everything we can to support a strong future for this facility and its workers. So I guess some encouraging news there, Jen. You're hearing from the premier, you're hearing from the local mayor. They still feel confident in GM staying here and doing what they can to support workers. But at the same time, you can imagine how upsetting this is for people who have been so nervous for such a long period of time, either coming off their shift or coming on. 6 o'clock is typically the changeover here, and hearing that they were canceling this third shift and it would impact about 1,000. We're hearing between 700 and 1,000 jobs. You just heard from the mayor saying that as of this fall. So we'll continue to get reaction. Hopefully we'll get a better sense too of what the support is going to look like. I'm going to continue to reach out to the local union here and see what their plans are. I'm sure they're meeting to discuss all of these developments and what they're planning to do.
Okay, CP24's Courtney Heels joining us live from the GM plant in Oshawa this hour. Thanks, Courtney.